So today in this hour, we are just going to recap a few things about the exam and the final report, and answer any question you may have on these two things. So just as a recap, because as for today we are completing the lectures and then we still have the labs until the end of the semester in January for your assignment 5. So about the exam, as you remember, these are from the introductory slide, so it's nothing new. There are 3 parts. One is already done, the heuristic evaluation. It was individual, up to 6 points, and whatever you did and delivered is done, cannot be changed anymore. So whatever points you get from 0 to 6, that is. Then you have, that was individual, and then you have as group, the project you developed since the 2nd week of the semester, and for the exam you have to deliver the final report according to some guidelines that we are going to see briefly now, and that you already have online. And for the exam, you have to deliver in the repository associated with your team the final report, and in the other repository that is named as your project, the code of the prototype, of the high fidelity prototype. And then the day of the exam, or the day after the exam, it depends how many people enroll in each, there will be a group oral discussion, which means that each group, one at a time, will come here at the desk, will connect whatever needs to connect and project the high fidelity prototype. No slides, we just want to see the high fidelity prototype followed by questions. As a group. And the 3 parts are mandatory, and this is valid until the end of the academic year, which means you can do the exam in January, you can redo it in February, you can do it in July, you can do it in September, and after September you have to re-follow the new and different version of the course in this case. And project development, heuristic evaluation, or discussion is 30 points. We have additional 2 points that will assign for participation, effort during the course, project quality and creativity, and some particular aspects of the oral discussion. Again, quality and in the presentation of the high fidelity prototype, quality in answering the questions, etc. And the report, of course, needs to be a document, not slide, like PDF document with text, paragraphs of sense. And we read them, we will read it. Well, these are the criteria evaluation you already presented at the beginning. So these are the planned assignment and checks. We already done this. Just a recap on the oral discussion. So in the oral discussion, the first time the team decide to discuss the project, all the team must be present and presenting, which means if you are 4, the 4 of you should speak during the presentation. So split the presentation of the demo in whatever way you think it's suitable for you. Each group will have 30 minutes. So that's the amount of time you need for your discussion. In this 30 minutes, you have to give a brief introduction to the project. No slides, just a brief introduction. We are talking about children in school with this capability, and now we are going to show you this. So brief introduction, demonstration of the implemented prototype, where you as a team cover the main feature, and again, everybody in the team speak. And then, after this part, that will probably cover 20 minutes, more or less. There is not strict timing, but in the total we have 30 minutes. And then the final part is question from the teacher about what you showed us and or the report you submitted. The teacher of your team is the one that will read and grade the report. Everybody else, everybody in the teaching team can ask questions. Of course, they don't know about the report, they don't know about whatever happens, but they can ask questions. So try to be as clear as possible. And typically, the 3 teachers ask questions, with the one in your team being the last one asking questions. The demonstration is typical, the most critical part, and it needs to be prepared. So one effective way to do the demonstration is to present the application, whatever, from the perspective of the users of your system. So saying something like, now Alessio will be a child of 10 years old with dyslexia and needs the application to do that. And then you discover, you show features, you show what are the things, posing, preparing in this sense, which is way more effective than to say, oh, now we see feature A, and then now we are seeing feature B, disconnected. If you can find a story, it's more effective for you, and also to showing why you did what you did, not only how you did it, which is of course important, but needs to be put together with the why, and this is why it needs to be carefully prepared. So this preparation impact these 4 points. And again, in the discussion, there is no need to cover the report, and there is no need to cover how you created the code, because we have access to the reports, to the codes, and we can see whatever we want before the exams. Okay, now the report. This is already online since weeks, but again, 7 days before each exam date, each official exam date, you have to deliver the code and the final group report, as I said, as PDF document, not slide. And let me say again, not slide. Even if I say it 4 times, I'm sure that someone will produce slide. So let me say it for the 5th time. Not slide is a document that should synthesize the entire process of what you did during the semester. You can use the material you prepared in the assignment, you have that, and your notes, and make sure that the document is cohesive, engaging, and understanding for someone unfamiliar with your project, even if the person grading it is familiar with your project. Whatever is not written there that should be written, and if it's an element of, is a criteria evaluation according to the criteria listed in each assignment, we will use those criteria, the one listed at the end of each assignment, so you have those criteria. If it's not written, we cannot know how you did them, and so it's wrong by default. If we don't know how you did it, it's wrong. So be sure to explain what you did in the best possible way, so that we understand that you followed the process and you did everything that you have done properly. Okay? And that should go in your group repository. Yes.
So we have to explain also the process in the report.
Explain the process.
I mean, we have to explain to people that are unfamiliar with our project, but are they familiar?
You have to explain what you did. So what I meant for you have to explain the project, the process means that if you did the usability, the interviews, you have to explain that you did the interviews properly. So we recruit these people in this way, these are the questions, and so what you did in the interview, what you did in usability testing, so that we have the information to assess whether you do properly the interviews, properly the usability testing, properly the paper prototype, or you did things randomly, or whatever is in the middle. So you don't have to explain what is an interview, but to explain that you did it as you did it well or not so well. So the final report, these are guidelines, which means that we expect to have this information in whatever format you want. You don't have to, please don't do a endless bullet point list, but just what you expect to have in the document. So, I mean, in the first page you will have project name and then I don't know, a sub-chapter, a section that is the value proposition, and a section that is team member and group name. And then you have chapter two that is problem solution overview. There could be a chapter, it could be a section, whatever. 2-4 sentences, so probably is a paragraph. Need finding, chapter on need finding, and in the chapter on need finding you can have a section that is the description of the domain within your team, why you choose it, a section that explains the interviews, the participants, etc. A section for synthesis, a section for the solutions, everything you already did. There is nothing here that you didn't have done during the semester. So for the need finding, we will ask you participants, methodology, and results, including pictures. For the synthesis, the brainstorm process, the list of brainstorm user needs, all of them, and the 3 or 4 deep user need and why you selected them. Exactly what you did a month ago or more. Solutions, the 5 or more solutions for each deep user need you find, and how you created, and the top solution you picked, and how you picked them. It's voting, not voting, etc. And let's go on. Task and storyboard. The 3 tasks, why you choose them. All of this is nothing different from what you already done. The thing that is slightly different, because you didn't have a report on this, is the part related to the heuristic evaluation, where we ask you, if you look at 2, so if you look at 3, the list of evaluation for both prototypes, those you have, the one you received. But point 1 and 2 are instead what you did as a group to prepare and to run the heuristic evaluation. So not what the evaluator did, not what you did to another group, but what you prepared as a group. So summarize what you did as a group. We printed the paper, we printed the list, we printed the task, we put them on an iPad, we did it in the class, we did it outside of the class, whatever you did. And how describe the execution of the heuristic evaluation. So we were in the class and people navigated according to the task, according to number of pages, according to whatever happened. And then summarizing evaluation results from the evaluator. This is instead things you received from the evaluator. And then selection, etc. Medium to high fidelity prototype, which tool you used, and the screens, blah, blah, blah. And high fidelity prototype, describe the tool, primary, libraries, whatever used to create, a link to the GitHub repository that was provided, explanation and motivation for design choices, changes you apply to the prototype, which did not stem from fixing the evaluation. So if you did some changes, and some of you did, because you noticed something, because in the usability, in the heuristic evaluation something happens, you can explain here why you change it with respect to the previous prototype. Describe and report the picture, the most significant screen of the prototype and why they're significant, and show how you fix the evaluation in this high fidelity prototype. Standard constraint, how you report them, and leave a comment on the hard-coded part, any pre-stored data, and any limitation of your prototype since it's a prototype.
About the heuristic evaluation.
Yes.
Summarizing the evaluation results from the evaluators is also what is done in the following point?
No, because the following point is just the list of evaluations.
So we have to do it.
The evaluation results also may include the recommendation that they did that is not in the list. like the final paragraph or whatever happened maybe during the evaluation that you remember or you keep note because it was important, maybe bring some changes after.
And do we have to do it for both prototypes or only the one we choose?
Yes, for both. The one you choose is after selection. So after selection, you will only talk about the one you choose. And then usability testing, well, you have to describe the preparation and running of the test and the results, including the pictures. And then there is a section or a chapter, or whatever you want to call it, that is about conclusion. That could be like half page, 1 page, and shouldn't be like a very long book. Just short description of what are your main learning from the semester and group feedback. How do you split the work, any positive aspects, and any problem you experience as a group. The other things I can say about this report, about this format, is that whenever you see summarize, list, present, report, include, embed, etc., it means that this information should be in the document. Not linked from the document, but inside the document, even if you have somewhere else. So include the high-level flow means that in the document there should be the pictures of the 2 high-level flows. Instead, when we want you to link something, we say add the link. In that case, you don't have to include, but add a link. Add a link. Everything else that is included, embedded, reporting, listing, etc., means that should be inside the document. And I'm making this clarification because, of course, it happened multiple times that including doesn't mean for everyone including. So I want to make it clear that including means putting inside. Okay? So this is the report that you have to prepare and submit by 7 days before each exam date. Any question on this? Go.
What if the flow diagram of the screens is too big to fit on an A4 page, to be readable?
Split in 2, diagrams, put on horizontal. It should be inside the document.
Then, do we have
Or if you want, put inside the document and then add a link if you fear that it's not readable enough to a high quality 100 megabyte version of it.
And then, do we have some limitation on the number of pages?
Nope. Use the space you need for explaining with care everything that you did. By memory, I would say that most report were the past year were around 30, 40, 50 pages long. It depends. Depends on the template, depends on how many pictures, how big the pictures are, but the range is 30 page, 40 page. It's a medium, let's say that. Then there was something also 20, 25, but again, depends on the font, on the template, whatever. Single column, double column, so a lot of things. Any other question? Yes.
In the oral exam, the last 10 minutes where you and the other teachers will ask
Yeah.
questions. The questions can be also about the theoretical.
No. Question will be about the project, about what you show or about what is written in the report. So if we, let's say, I don't know, let's say that I see a problem in the usability testing or something unclear, I can ask something about your usability testing that is written in your report. but it's all about the project.
Thanks.
How many points are like fixed when we are reading the exam? Like,
In which sense fixed?
okay, it's a bit hard to explain because let's say that I come to the exam, I've already made all the assignment, and I'm not satisfied with the mark. So I decided to go for another round the next day. How many points can I improve changing what?
It depends on how many errors you made and where. So when you came to the exam, we already know, when you came for an exam the first time, we already know this and this. Because this is grading we did before the oral exam. So in the oral discussion, you play mostly for this and for this, mostly. And maybe if there is some clarification here, then maybe you can also change something here if like there is something unclear and we maybe did in either positive or not positive interpretation of something. Maybe in the oral discussion I understand, let's say it's my group, in my team, I understand there was too positive or too negative, and then I can refine this during the oral or around the oral. But let's say generally, typically, at the oral you play for the 4 points and the maximum 2 points here, especially for the 4 points. So if you decide, so you say that you did as a group you did the exam, as let's say you get 24, and let's say that you get as a group 4 points here, you individually get 3 points here, and you get, maybe it's not 24, I don't know, but, and you get 18 points here, whatever it is, and 0 here, whatever it is, this sum. So these cannot be changed. You have 3 points, and 3 points are forever, unless you redo the course next year, and then in that case it could be more or less than 3 points, but this cannot be changed. This is 4, which is maximum, so in theory if you come again and do exactly the same presentation, you should get something around this, but you have to redo the presentation. Here it means that you lost 2 points. So it's really depend where you lost those 2 points. If it was like half point in assignment 1, half point in assignment 2, half point in assignment 5, and half point in assignment 4, that's much more difficult to compensate by fixing something, because it's a little bit here, a little bit there, etc. If it's instead at 2 points because you forget to put the results in the heuristic evaluation, that's easy to do because you just need to write the results in the heuristic evaluation. Let's imagine you forgot to write an entire section, no? But you have, of course, hopefully have the results. So if you write the section, that's easier to get back these 2 points. And then there is the case where these 2 points, well, difficulty, it's rare that it's for 2 points. Maybe it's easier if you are, I don't know, which are 8 points. Maybe there is something you did wrongly in assignment 1, and that's done. You cannot redo the entire project, of course, before the next exam. So that could be another case. So if there are, to summarize, 3 cases, if there are little things here and there, that's more difficult to get those full points. Not impossible, but more difficult because it's a little bit here, a little bit there. If there is like big error, but they can be fixed because it's how you describe thing or you didn't describe thing most of the time, that's also easier to be fixed. Or if it's something around the high fidelity prototype or the usability evaluation. That's also something you can, since it's the end of the process, maybe something you can redo if it's a big amount of points. If it's something instead significant, let's say in assignment 1, 2, or 4, that's almost impossible to fix, because you need to, if you redo the interviews, you have to change assignment 2, but you cannot change the heuristic evaluation and so you cannot continue. So that's impossible to do. That's also why we give feedback, to avoid being in such problem, but in some cases it happens. Maybe not for assignment 1, but in this case it happens. A few cases it happens. Yeah?
First one, in assignment 2, we forgot to upload the storyboard, but we showed a way to the teacher.
You forgot to upload the storyboard, but storyboard should be in the final report.
Okay.
So the important thing is that you did the storyboard.
We showed it.
Okay.
So,
So whatever you did in the presentation for the check for the feedback session doesn't matter. What matters is what you write in the final report. That feedback was there to help you to not forget to write, to include the storyboard, or if the storyboard was not done properly, to fix it back then and not today.
okay. Second one is, in assignment 5 is written that we collect the results of the usability testing,
Yes.
but we don't change the IPA program.
Yes.
Even if the prototype it's really bad or it's really something important that emerges from testing, or even before the next session, next exam.
No, between one session and the others, you cannot, because if you do one test and then you change everything, that first test needs to be removed, because otherwise the second test cannot be compared with the first one, because you change the conditions, of course. So in that case, you can do changes, but then you have to delete all the tests you did before the point and restart from scratch for the testing. And so that you will present the prototype after the few first failing tests, in a sense, at the exam. After you completed all the tests, what we ask you is not to change anything and to just write a non-trivial list of potential changes that you would like to implement. We don't ask you to implement those. If you want to implement those or some of those, that's totally extra work for you that we don't ask you to do. But you can, of course. And then in the presentation, you will say, this part, we tweak it a little bit after usability testing because there was a major issue. Because otherwise, there isn't a match between what we see in the report and what we see in the presentation. Okay? And if there is no match, you don't say we ask. So in any case.
What do you mean by non-trivial potential?
If it's like I wrote, I don't know, start without a T, that's trivial. So you can avoid it. So simple things that hypothetically you can fix in 5 minutes, it's fine. But if like, oh, this page is a mess, I need to rethink about the page, that's non-trivial because it needs to redesign maybe a page or a part of a page or something like that.
But these changes should be about these three tasks, or maybe new functionality can be included?
It's in the list of potential changes are changes on the prototype people try. So if there are things in the prototype and they try them and you have a task in the usability testing for that there is where can be problem and potential changes. Yes.
We know the final grade
At the exam.
Okay.
Yes. After the discussion is over, we will decide the score of the oral discussion together, the three teachers. and we do the math. And we will see the results, and then we will call the group closer to the teachers, and we say, we decided to give the same score for the project to the group, and so the variation is about any variation in the score is about the heuristic evaluation, that is individual, or we decide to give a person 1 point more, 1 point less, because reason, and so the results are those. But yes, 5-10 minutes after the oral discussion.
And if I remember properly, you say that we will be able to reserve a slot for the oral lesson, or?
Yes. Because of course we will start according to how many of you are. So doing it in group is easier because we do 4 people in half an hour or 3 people in half an hour, which also help making less time for all the oral exam. But if you are a lot, we cannot do it in the day of the exam. So we need to spend the next 2-3 days according to how many you are, how many groups are, and do the oral discussion. So we will at a certain point closer to the exam, generally around these 7 days before, because there we know how many of you submitted everything, so we can count exactly the number of groups. We will in some way create a schedule that is compatible with any other exams or other things you may have in that day, etc. But then consider this half an hour. So the important thing is that just don't overlap with another exam in that moment.
Maybe in the presentation part, you said that we have to briefly describe the entire process, but which...
You have to describe not the entire process. To give a brief introduction to the project. So what's the project about? What we are going to see? We're going to see a mobile application for school, teachers, in this context, solving this problem. That's the kind of things that is an introduction of the, just to have everyone understand what they are going to see, which are the problems that the application is going to solve.
Okay. We don't have to talk about the type of people we interviewed.
That's in the report. So 2 other notes. One is a suggestion and the other one is a fact. The fact is, of course, you have to be the entire group for the first time you decide to try the exam. So for the first time, the entire group should be in the room presenting the project. So you should agree that you want to go in a single specific date. For the second, third, fourth, etc. exam, this is not true. So if one of you in the group decide that they don't like the score, or 2 of you decide that they don't like the score and want to try again, just these 1, 2, 3 people can redo the exam, and the other will keep the score that they get in the first time. So it's not mandatory that the entire group will represent everything. It's just the ones that are unsatisfied with the exam that should, if they want, come to the next seat or the next one or the following again. Okay? And this is a fact. The suggestion is don't come all in the first exam. Not because we don't want you all, but because not all of you will be ready for the first exam. And so if you are not ready, you will not get the score you want, and you will try for the second exam, but then the second exam is so close to the first one, you will not be able, and maybe you have other exams in the meantime, you will not be able to fully do everything, or will rush to do everything, and then could happen that you will not be satisfied the results also the second time, and you will come the third time as well. So just come to the second time if you need more time. So don't rush. And I'm saying this, and then every year there is people that exactly don't listen. And this happens. So don't rush. If you don't feel that you are ready, because you know if you're ready. If you don't feel you're ready, just postpone to the next one. You have 4 exams, maybe don't arrive in September, but in the others, organize also according to other exams that you have, whether it makes sense for you to have all prepared. Because the rushing here means losing points. And losing points for rushing means you have to redo things. So if you rush usability testing, you have to redo usability testing. So you're wasting time twice. And you need different people for doing the usability testing a second time. So if you have a particular population, that will be much difficult. So come at the exam where you are prepared. The majority of students came to the first 2 seats, 2 exams, so in September, and some of those that came for the first one are, let's say, there is more people that came to the first seat that is not satisfied with the results than the one that came from the second seat. And then there is also there people not satisfied, but that's different. There is a baseline of unsatisfied people, and then there is a peak on the first exam. Probably those people should have taken 1 or 2 weeks more and completed it. And we typically, historically, let's say, do the majority of people in the first 2 exams, and some groups at the third exam in July. That's what the distribution appears. We typically don't have people in September, which makes everybody very happy, including us. But the majority will be in the first two seats, so we are also prepared to that. But don't come everyone in the first seat, because then some of you will not be happy, and will come again in the second one. And there are instances where also in the second one you are not happy, and then we will see again in July. And at that point is the third time we see the project, and nobody, including you, is happy to redo the same presentation 3 times. So plan accordingly. There is no penalty in doing the exam before or after. You have 4 seats, let's say 3, and distribute according to which are the other exams and what is the time you have to do everything properly, especially finalizing the implementation and the usability testing. Okay? So that's a suggestion. As any suggestion, you're free to follow or not without any consequence. Any other question? Yes.
The PDF of the final report should be in the folder A5, in the root, wherever.
Well, not wherever, but either in the folder A5 or in the root of the repository. I may not put in the A1 folder, but yeah, it makes sense both places. It doesn't really matter. Oh, one question we typically ask, so that you are prepared and you can, is around who did what. Or better, how do you distribute the work within the team across the semester? And that's easier because we more or less know you from the labs, but also about assignment 5 and the usability testing that we didn't see instead because it was more in this period. So this is a question we ask. And we ask this question because it's possible that some people did a little bit less or some people did a little bit more. And if this happens, we can modify the score accordingly. Also, if you have had any problem within the group, you should have already told the teacher of your team. So at that point, at the exam, there should be no surprise about people not working, especially not working. Working more is always a nice surprise to have. So there should be no surprise in that point, and we are going to ask, as young adults in the room, how they work together and what they did. Okay, so that's a question that you can expect us to ask to every team at the end of the oral discussion. Yes.
If in assignment 5, maybe 2 people are more focused on the code and other 2 are more focused on the usability testing, it's a problem?
A little, but well, it depends more focus what means. If it means that 2 people did the prototype and 2 people did the usability testing, yes. Because everyone should experiment everything. If it means that 2 people lead one part and the other 2 helped both parts, that's a different story, but then we can understand the nuances of what happened. But yes, you will be evaluated on following the entire process, not just, oh, I didn't like assignment 1, I will skip it. And we'll do more on assignment 2. That's not, does it work? Or better, if it works, means 0 point on assignment 1 because you didn't do it, and 0 point to the other on assignment 2 because the other didn't do it. And same things for the implementation and the usability testing, even if it's the same assignment. Okay? Yes, after the exam, we will tell you something like, so let's put ourselves in the, again, easy case. Everyone got 5 points, the heuristic evaluation, and we decide to give the same score to the entire group. And so everyone got, in your group got 27, 28, whatever it is. That's the easy one. The most common one is that there is a difference in the score only due to the heuristic evaluation. And so we will say you got 28 and your colleague got 27 and the other one got 29 because of the difference in the heuristic evaluation. And then, etc. Then if you want to know your specific, because maybe you want to redo the exam, etc., we can talk about it after we complete all the oral discussion, where we can say, you lose some, so the problem in assignment 1 was this, And there was no problem in assignment 2. So if you want to redo the exam, don't touch assignment 2. It's in the report, the equivalent part of assignment 2 in the report, etc. Okay? Any other questions? Alessio, no question anymore. Last. Enough. No questions? Everything is clear, no doubts, no... Yes?
Will you receive questions about the code? Of the
No. Just what you show there. And you explained, and if there is any unclarity in the report. No question about the code, no question about theory, no question about... Also because here the code is functional to create a prototype, and it's not that we teach you how to do an application in, let's say, React Native. We didn't, so we cannot really ask you a question about the technology because we didn't teach you the technology. So, any other questions? Otherwise, we can, I think, wrap up a little bit earlier, but if you don't have any questions. No question over there. Everything's super clear. Oh yes, don't forget to fill out the CPD, that in English is not CPD, the whatever. The end of course, the questionnaire for the quality of teaching that is now open and will be until you enroll to the exam, to whatever exam it is. Again, don't, as I wrote on Telegram, don't just reply randomly, please, because that makes difficult to interpret data. There should be a button in the end that says skip it, and just press the button skip it. It's easier, quicker, and don't compromise any information on nobody's side. So that also next year we can do, where is here? We can do the 2025 and of course questionnaire slide with some suggestion or critique from your side as well. This was from past year, of course. Okay, so I think we are set. I will stay here until for still half an hour, since we still have class time. So if you have anything to do here and you want also to talk with me, I'm here. Otherwise, have a nice evening and nice holiday as well. Well, no, with some of you we will meet on Wednesday, but for all the others, have a nice holiday as well.